Hello everyone, it's just Seb. This video is going to be all about supplements, the ones you do need and the ones you don't need. Okay, so I've cleared up all the mess that I just made by throwing all the tubs across the room, but it was important. And in fact, the EHP Labs tub broke, so poor quality in terms of the product and also poor quality in terms of the tubs. I would not recommend. But more importantly, we're here to talk about supplements and where they do add value and where they don't add value. And more importantly, I need to show you why you should be taking creatine. You might want to be taking pre-workout, and it could help to have protein. But there's a lot more to go into about what's good about a supplement, what's bad about a supplement, and more importantly, which ones are cons and which ones have value. Always best to start with the most important supplement, like creatine, because if this video is like my last one, everyone will drop off watching in the first 60 seconds. So I want to make sure that at least you take away that creatine is a good product to have. The main reasons are it has loads of benefits, both physically and physically and also mentally. It's the most studied supplement we've ever had. It has no downsides, and generally speaking, it's very cheap. You can get about half a year's supply for about 40 to 50 pounds, if not less, depending on which brand you go for or how you purchase it. The only downside to creatine is people trying to trick you into buying stuff you don't actually need. A very, very prominent thing recently has become creatine gummies. And a creatine gummy is basically creatine in, well, a gummy form, but they sell you it in really small dosages that you have to eat loads of the gummies to actually get a normal dose, especially if you are loading, which means you'll end up spending four to five times the amount on the creatine that you would do when you just bought it normally. And taking creatine isn't that difficult of a process anyway, so it provides no benefit for a much higher cost, which, unless you are out there with loads of disposable income and you feel like the random supplement company on the internet needs to have that money instead of you, feel free, go buy those gummies. For everyone else, never buy anything aside from just standard creatine that normally comes in powdered tubs like this. You can go for this brand, but there are many other brands out there equally as good. Now moving on to your pre-workouts. So with pre-workouts, they are not necessary by any stretch of the imagination. Most of the benefit that you're going to get out of a pre-workout, you'd also get from having a strong cup of coffee or 2 cups of coffee, because the majority of them are just high caffeine stim bombs with no actual good ingredients in them. So with pre-workouts, I suggest trying to avoid them unless you really feel like you want that extra edge. And if you are going to buy them, I'd suggest taking the time to look at what ingredients are in there, what the benefits are that you really want to get out of them. The main thing to avoid for me personally, I would say, is that any pre-workout that's got beta-alanine in it isn't very valuable, shouldn't be had in the form of a pre-workout anyway, because beta-alanine works on the basis of being built up over a long period of time from regular supplementation rather than just taken before a workout. And also any pre-workout that's got creatine in it. Obviously, I just mentioned earlier that creatine is really valuable, but again, it's from the build-up of taking it regularly over a long period of time that it gains effect, not from taking it immediately before a workout. So most of the pre-workouts out there that have creatine in it, they use it just to bulk out the scoops and make it cheaper for them to sell you to it because there's not actually much else in the powder. So tread carefully with your pre-workouts, but that would be my recommendation. And generally speaking, not necessarily, depending on what the name of it is, probably can tell you what it is. If it's called something like Alien Juice, terrible. If it's called Black Mamba Rattler, isn't too bad, to be fair, but it's still slightly underdosed. The EHP Labs one that I talked about earlier, that is terrible. That is just underdosed. And I don't even know what this one is. Naughty Boy, which is, again, underdosed. So great options all around there if you're looking for underdosed pre-workouts. Now, Blood and Guts, the Blood and Guts by Dorian Yates. Again, Blood and Guts, great name, always so strong for the pre-workouts. Is actually pretty well dosed in terms of what you'd be looking to get out of it. However, on a per serving basis, which looks to be about 2 scoops, you're also going to be having a hell of a lot of caffeine. So you want to watch out for what you're going for there. But generally speaking, pre-workouts aren't necessary, but can help if you're taking the right ones. But I wouldn't be rushing to buy them unless you really know what you're after. Now we're going to talk about protein. Now, protein is very important for one reason and one reason only. It builds out the body. It's used for all the muscle repair and a lot of key functions in the body. However, the main reason you want to be taking it as a supplement form is if for some reason you can't get it from your diet, or you want a more convenient way to get it that isn't eating solid food, in which case protein powder, a great option. Cost effective a lot of the time, And also very, very easy to kind of deal with. Just scoop them into some water, neck it down, and there you go. You've got a bit of extra protein in. Everybody's happy. The only issue that I would say comes from taking protein, generally speaking, is people using it to replace actual meals, which you should never do. Or more importantly, people using it because they think they have to hit a protein goal that's way over the level that they need to. The general rule is they say, 2 grams per kilogram of body weight or a gram per pound. If you're, still using an archaic imperial weighing system that doesn't make any sense to use in the modern day since everything else has changed. Looking at you, America. Aside from that, 2 grams per kilogram of body weight is the maximum you should really be looking for. You can go over this in certain circumstances, but in most cases, you don't really want to be going higher than that. And if you're a particularly overweight person, you definitely don't want to be going over that because you probably don't need excess protein based off the excessive amount of fat you have on your body, in which case you want to stick to a centimetre. 1 centimetre of height equals 1 gram of protein as an absolute maximum, because otherwise you're going to be ingesting unnecessary calories, which could get in the way of weight loss if that's what your goal is. There isn't really too much to go into in terms of the details of specifics against each other. Soya or vegan proteins work just as well as non-vegan proteins like whey or beef isolate. The main thing you probably want to be looking at is what the cost per scoop is. Aside from that, ignore everything else, because it's all going to come down to preference in the end in terms of what you like about the protein, maybe taste-wise. I prefer unflavoured, so taste is not really something that I factor in. As a little caveat for anyone who's having vegan proteins or anything that's plant-based, you want to make sure you have a blended protein because then you'll get a full amino acid profile. But aside from that, not too much to go into. Nice and simple. Protein, just about okay. Yeah. And last and certainly least, we've got the leftover supplements that I'm going to rattle through in a quick method with a one-liner for why you shouldn't be buying them, because they're not really worth putting too much focus in. But basically, none of them actually do anything, and in most cases, there's multiple studies that prove they don't do anything. The only people that like to pretend that they do are the people that get sponsored to sell them you, or make one for themselves so they can sell it to you because they have very high profit margins for very little return. Looking at you, Simian Panda. Naughty. Firstly, fat burners. Basically, don't burn fat, not in an effective way or a measurable way that you'd actually care about. They're normally just extra stim bombs. So again, not worth the money, big waste of money. If you want to burn fat, get clenbuterol, or actually just exercise more and diet better. Carb powders, again, get them from diet, not really needed, especially because most of the time it's dextrose. And also, if you do really want it, you can get unbelievable cheap amount of dextrose, which doesn't need to come in these stupid supplement tubs. So again, get rid of it. Although it is CarbX, doesn't really mean much more. And again, just a fancy name for something you don't really need. EEAs or BCAAs, pointless. Again, get them from diet. You don't really need them unless you're absolutely shredding and for some reason can't eat actual food. But in every single circumstance, you'd be getting more than you need in the food. So the EEAs and BCAAs are going to do absolutely nothing for you. Even if it does come from Axe and Sledge supplements that taste like America and feels like freedom, which is marketing that almost can't be argued with. Maybe I'm wrong. Also, don't buy this mysterious tub that has a label on it that has nothing to go with it, and all the instructions and ingredients on it are written in non-English. I don't actually know what was in this tub at any point, but don't buy this if you can find it. I don't know how you would because there's no branding, but don't buy this either. That covers everything I wanted to go over. Always remember they are just supplements. They aren't supposed to replace anything. They are supposed to supplement the main diet. 90% of the result from your workout and exercise changes is going to come from diet and actually doing the exercise to a high degree. But they can offer support in different areas. But again, once you get past creatine, you get into very big diminishing returns or just no returns at all. One of the ones I didn't cover is L-carnitine. Exactly that. Proven to be completely ineffective and do nothing. The only people that say that it does are the people that sell it. So don't listen to them. Don't waste your money on something that doesn't work. And then if there is any other supplements that I've not covered, maybe I'll get around to another point in time. But generally speaking, they're all bloody terrible.
Hey, I got you guys a protein shake.
Awesome. I love protein.
I know you love protein. I love protein too.
Yeah, protein rocks.
Are you guys talking about protein? I love protein. I love protein too.
We know you love protein. Protein rocks.
Awesome. Protein rocks.
Protein.
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 Protein. Protein.